Mic check, I'm good. So I'm Max Ceron, CWB Association Welding podcast. Today we have a really cool guest, Welding Podcast.
The show is about to begin.
Hello and welcome back to another edition of the CWB Association podcast. My name is Max Ceron with you guys another time here, and we have a fantastic episode with a good friend of mine, Sebastian Tremblay, who is a French-speaking Canadian based out of Winnipeg. And I've known Sebastian a few years now, and it's great to know this guy. So Sebastian, how you doing?
I'm very good. Thanks for having me, Max.
So for the people that are listening, this is our second try at this because I had a power surge here and our interview got zapped. So now I'm trying, we're trying attempt number 2. Although I did notice that now, Sebastian, you don't have your camera on now. Are you shy now?
No, I can turn it back on. I was trying to save bandwidth just in case that was our issue.
No, I think it's me. I think I'm pushing my computer a little hard right now this morning. All right, Sebastian. Well, thank you for being on the show with me. It's been great knowing you these years. As always, I like to start the interview with a little bit of history from yourself. So let's start like we started before with your birth. Where was young baby French Sebastian born?
So I was born in Sept-Îles, Quebec. So it's a small mining town on the north shore of the St. Lawrence River. So about 8 hours from Quebec City, following the north shore of the St. Lawrence River. So it's a mining town where the iron ore that gets mined in the Fairmont and the other northern places get railed to. And then it gets put on a large ship that go all over the world. So the iron ore industry in Quebec, a large part of it is from Sept-Îles. There's also a big aluminum smelter, a huge one, because we have the power lines coming from Labrador that goes right into our backyard. So that's part of the electricity that Quebec has for the aluminum smelter. So I come from an industrial town, although I never had much of my dad was not in the trades. My dad didn't work at the mine. He was forestry. So I didn't have much welding exposure as I grew up, except a neighbor that used to build dune buggies out of Volkswagen Beetles.
Did you ever get to ride in a dune buggy?
I actually did. I mean, that's back a long time ago, but once or twice he took us out, and it's kind of a coastal area, so we have like sand dunes, so we get to play in the sand a little bit.
That's super cool. So you're in your little town, and there's lots of industry around. It sounds like you got forestry, you got mining, you got smelting, you got all sorts of stuff going on. So you decide at some point that you want to become an engineer.
Yes. I kind of went through school. I was good at math and physics, and I kind of just kept on going. Mechanical engineering looked cool, so I went for it. I didn't know exactly what to expect. I visited one shop before going into it, and I've always had that interest for metals and machines. So that's all I had at that point. I went on to Sherbrooke for a university. They had a good co-op program, so where you get to go and work with companies, and I did mechanical engineering, so I learned about the metallurgy, materials, mechanical systems, all that kind of stuff.
Okay, so then you enrolled into a local college. Where'd you go to college?
So Sherbrooke.
Okay, and then you went through the mechanical engineering program. Did you enjoy it? Did you like it?
Oh yeah. I liked it. I mean, there's I like the more applied part of the program when we talk about machine design and elements of machines, structural. A little less about the math. Although I'm good at it, it's not something I enjoy. Nor the CAD. I like to look at CAD, but I don't like to do CAD all day.
Well, some people have a skill for CAD. It is quite tedious to be a designer.
Oh, I fully appreciate that.
So then you finished college and you're getting ready to hit the workforce. What was your plan? What were you looking at doing?
So when I got to my last year, I realized that I was not going to be a great designer. Designing was not for me. The research part was not what I was looking for. So I had to pivot and find something that I could use my engineering skills for. So I started thinking about like inspection, working on job sites or shop. And then when I saw the posting for Lincoln Electric, and they were looking for somebody with more hands-on, to be part of a more hands-on role, I thought, you know what, this probably could work for me. I like the hands-on part. So I thought, you know what, I'd heard about Lincoln Electric in one of our classes, in one of our fabrication classes. The teacher, it was just theory at that point, but he mentioned the procedure handbook of arc welding as the reference for welding, and so I bought a copy. So I knew a little bit about Lincoln. All I had done for welding was burnt one rod, so as part of that class. So I'd never really done welding. I just had a little bit of exposure, knew a little bit about it, but never really done it. I was never, no family in the trade, nothing like that.
Yeah. Okay. So you apply for Lincoln. This is an established 125, you said, year old company now.
Yeah.
And they have a very well established program and system. And you're a young college grad. What are you, 22 years old? And you're heading out there. And they probably sent you to Cleveland, right?
Yeah. So as soon as they hire you, the first step is to go through the 8-month Cleveland welding training program for technical sales reps. So it's partly welding. I mean, there's 16 weeks of welding in there. So 6 weeks of stick, then 2 weeks of MIG, then TIG, then cutting. So we do a full 16 weeks in the weld school. The same program that is offered for people that want to just take a welding training. It's offered at Lincoln Electric. So they put us through this welding program, and then they supplement that with a lot of other training related to product and how to be a representative and so on and so forth.
Yeah. So for the people that haven't had the opportunity to go to the Cleveland Lincoln site, it is amazing. And just in the last 5 years, they built a new training facility out there that is incredible. It's huge.
Yes. So when I did that was in the old building. Lincoln has one of the oldest active welding school in the U.S. So we got into the welding business. We grew with it, and then we had one of the first welding schools. And in the last 5 years, they opened that brand new state-of-the-art facility with, I think, 180 booths. So just to give people an idea of the scale of that facility, 180 booths, that's pretty big. And Lincoln's always been pretty big in training. So they did a good job getting me ready for what I was going to see in the field.
So you went down. You spent the 8 months in Cleveland. Hopefully, you became a Cleveland Browns fan, which I don't know if that's going to happen. I want to do another shameless plug here for Cleveland Browns, but you finished there, and so they assigned you back to your home area for territory, or where the heck did they send you?
They sent me to Winnipeg. There's a thing with Lincoln. They like to. I mean, that's one of the reasons I signed up for it too. I wanted to travel in Canada. I wanted to. No ties there. I was ready to travel, and they wanted to give me some more experience. So they decided to send me to Winnipeg. When you sign up for Lincoln, they don't tell you where you're going to go. It's you take the training, and then at the end, the last 2 weeks, they tell you where you're going.
So you're just like, I mean, did you have a girlfriend or anything at this point? Were you still a single guy?
I had a girlfriend.
You did already?
Yeah, but a girl from back home, yeah.
Yeah, she was waiting for you back in Sherbrooke.
Yeah, in Montreal, yeah.
In Montreal. So did she come with you to Winnipeg, or was it a fresh start for Sebastian?
Yeah, she moved to Winnipeg after, yeah.
Is this still your wife now?
No.
Okay. Well, maybe I shouldn't have said that.
I ended up finding a local girl and from around Winnipeg, and then and now we're married. We have 2 kids.
Yeah, like I'm a Western. I've lived in Western Canada my entire life, and I love Winnipeg. I don't know why people give Winnipeg a bad rap. You hear about it here and there, and man, I have nothing but fun in that town. I find the history beautiful. The Forks area is fantastic, and great bars, great music scene. And I know Sebastian, you love music.
Yeah, yeah. I actually we saw Metallica together a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that was a good time. And then so you end up in Winnipeg. You're young. I'd imagine there was already someone established there that was
Yeah, yeah,
working that you came in and underneath.
yeah. I started working for our district manager out here, so he did most of the mentoring. Winnipeg has been good to me and Saskatchewan because we have a wide variety of industry. Um, like some areas are focused more on automotive or more oil and gas. But when you look at Manitoba, Saskatchewan, I mean, we have a strong basin of agriculture manufacturing, but we have oil and gas, we have transportation. So this is a really cool area to be in. It's not so big, but we have a lot of exciting industry, lots of the welding processes, right? So we have TIG shops, we have MIG shops, we have submerged arc, we have a lot of we have some automation. So there's an interesting territory that way.
And that's really good that you bring that up because I've gotten to work with most of those industries in my 20 some years of welding. I've gotten to work with mining and fabrication and agriculture, both oil and gas, and the technologies that are pressing forward as the welding procedures move are fantastic. And honestly, every step of the way, every shop I've been at, the welding companies, Lincoln included, have had to keep up and are in many ways not keeping up, but creating the new stuff, right?
Yeah. There's all those industry have different needs, and we keep pushing. We always got to find a way to get better. And that's one of the things I like is finding new ways, adapting welding processes for the different industries. It's a lot of fun.
So you come in. Who was your district manager at that point?
So it was Rob. So I've been with Rob for 15 years now.
Wow, you guys are basically a married couple now.
You know what? We spend a lot of time together on the road. There's some weeks I spend more time with Rob than with my wife. Yep.
Yeah, that's the way it is in the business. And so you come out there. Rob's been mentoring you, and you start climbing the ladder. Is there a ladder to climb? Are you in the same position you were 15 years ago? How does it work?
I am in exactly the same position I was in 15 years ago. So my title hasn't changed. I'm a technical sales rep, although I would consider myself a senior technical sales rep. Um,
It doesn't say
you
that on your business card though.
no, and you gotta accept where you are and have fun with what you do. On the other hand, yeah, I got lots of added responsibilities thrown my way, and then I get special projects, so I get to have fun, stay in Winnipeg, stay with my basin of customers and industry, and I get to have all kinds of fun with different side projects.
Well, 15 years is a long time, so you obviously must be happy with this gig. I've known many people that have worked for Lincoln throughout my life, and they all seem very content with the Lincoln gig. You got young Spencer out here. I remember Rick for years, and like I mean, these guys they're enjoying it.
It's a good company to work with. It's stable. It's got a long history. It's a company that's ready to invest in its people. So we go out there and we do what we like. We get to spend time with customers and industry and learn and show people different things.
Yeah, good. And if you want to say anything bad about Spencer while you have the chance on air right now, this is your chance.
He's learning. He's doing a good job.
No,
He's
I
got a
like
lot to learn, but he's doing a good job.
it. Spencer's a good guy. All right, so you're in Winnipeg now. You've established yourself in Lincoln. I mean, you make the connections and the ties, and somehow, as a senior representative for Lincoln, I know you have the best budget for what is it? Promotional
Yeah, no,
entertainment.
yeah, no, that's not something we spend too much money on. I'll say if you see anybody with a Lincoln ball cap or a Lincoln T-shirt, they got good connection.
Yeah,
These are hard to come by. They're prized item.
they are.
not
They
like the
are.
other
I've never
helmets.
gotten one yet, so.
Gonna keep working at it. Lots of people have asked. When you see people that have stuff, they
Something happened.
they got,
Yeah.
they got lucky.
All right. So we're right at the 15-minute mark. So we're going to take a break here. That went by super fast, by the way. And we'll take a break, and then we'll be back with Sebastian Tremblay to discuss what's going on in Winnipeg and in his area, and what cool, exciting stuff's going on. So stay tuned.
The CWB Group is offering a hydrostatic testing course at our Nisku CWB training facility. This course is a must-have for all personnel involved in the planning, execution, and inspection of hydrostatic testing. It ensures that everyone involved in any given hydro test will have the same baseline training and safety protocols across Canada. This course covers a wide range of topics related to pressure testing, with a specific emphasis on hydrostatic testing of oil and gas pipelines according to CSA Z662 and other applicable Canadian regulations. The 3-day course covers the theoretical background and practical aspects of pressure testing. The hands-on practical exercises are unique to this course, and individuals will learn how to calculate different variables related to hydrostatic testing. Course highlights include testing theory, establishing the safe pressure test requirement and environment, test setup and sequence, test instrumentation and documentation, practical demonstration of pig launching and receiving techniques, practical demonstration of burst test. Space is limited. Register today for the first Canadian-focused hydrostatic training course.
All right, and we're back here at the CWB Association podcast. I'm Max Ceron with my special guest, Sebastian Tremblay, here with me, and we're going to have lots of fun. It's been a great interview so far, talking about how you came out of Quebec up through college, joined Lincoln, the Lincoln team, and you've been with them ever since, which is a rare occurrence for people to come out of school and get a job and stay with that job a long time. Like, that's very rare.
Yeah, I was listening to your earlier podcast, and when we look at the people in the trades, they tend to move around like 3 years. And for me, 15 years, I work with guys that have been there 20, 30, 40 years.
Do you see yourself as a lifer? Like,
yeah, I can see myself as a lifer. It's a good, stable company, and I'm still having fun, and I get to play with all kind of cool toys, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
So,
the coolest, actually, like toys that we don't even get to see, really.
well, you get to see them eventually, yeah.
Well, when the bosses open up the wallets, right?
Yeah, I mean, we'll bring them for demos or stuff like that at the CWB nights and for sure those things.
So that leads me to the next question. So you're in Winnipeg, you're establishing your connections, you're kind of getting to be a fixture among the welding shops and industries. How the heck did you end up in the CWB Association? That's generally where the welders are.
You know, as soon as I started in Winnipeg, some of the people, like I was dealing with my distributor, Welder Supplies, the guy said, you got to come with us. And then the guy I replaced was on the executive, and I was told this is the way it's done. You like we benefit from the industry, right? But we also need to give back to the industry. So when I talk to all the Lincoln guys, all the younger TSR that start, I say, get involved in your local chapter. I mean, you got to give back, you got to help. But on the other hand, you learn a lot from being on the executive or attending events or participating on the executive. I was a treasurer on the Winnipeg Association executive, and I learned a lot about keeping books, and for anybody that runs a small business or want to learn about running a small business, this is a good experience to be a treasurer in any association, but the WB Association one is probably the best.
Well, we're pretty competitive as far as associations go. Winnipeg chapter does a lot every year and is fairly active, and the Regina one we push hard too here. We always try to get lots of things going, and it's interesting because we've worked together on quite a few things. You come to Regina and you help out with stuff there, and I've been to Winnipeg many times now for all the cool conferences and stuff going on in Winnipeg. So as a CWB member now. This is a question that's coming up across the country. How do you feel your chapter is doing? Do you feel it's a healthy chapter? Is it growing? Is it shrinking? Where do you feel it's sitting right now?
We were talking about that with our team locally, and we got a great chapter. We got a long time chapter, and we got a good core group of volunteers. This year with the pandemic, it's bringing extra challenge on how we're going to engage with member, how we're going to connect with people. So we're looking at the social media aspect for this year. We think that probably one of the things we can do. We talked about having online presentation, but so many people have so many online presentation for their work that that's
might be a burnout. Much. Yeah.
But yeah, social media is the way we're looking at, and we have some long-term activity like our golf tournament that we still got scheduled. If there's a way we can do it as a COVID-safe event, we'd like to keep that one on.
Yeah, we tried holding on to our golf this year, but it was too close, and the pandemic still was around. But with the colleges opening up and businesses opening up, and now the second wave's kind of trying to get under control. I think there's a lot of opportunity going into next year. Like I think next summer and this next 2021, I think the chapters will have a space and ability to move, and hopefully the association can take some lessons from this as a whole, because there are some very healthy chapters, and I think the healthy chapters can connect with some of the less healthy chapters to help out too, right?
Yeah, definitely. We're always there to share our experiences, and then there's a lot of sharing that's happening at the national level. I know there's a review, and then they talk about each chapter, their activities, and that gives the other chapter ideas of what they can do to engage with their members.
Yeah, so shameless plug, if you're listening, you better sign up for the free memberships. They're free for everybody right now because of the pandemic. They changed the model, and now you're looking at free memberships for any person that wants to sign up. So you could even be, if you're listening in the US, I know we have a lot of American listeners right now. You guys are welcome to come join the Canadian Welding Association, Welding Bureau Association, and it's free membership, and it gets you an online magazine, some discounts, travel, insurance, just some cool stuff. All right, Sebastian. So now where do you see, like in terms of the companies that you work with, where do you see the technology heading toward? Where's most of your technology or technical calls aimed at? What are companies looking to do?
Lots of companies are kind of looking for status quo, or they have all kinds of challenges maintaining their current production. So that's where I get involved, and we're helping customer like have that vision of what they can do and what's possible doing, and then look for those productivity improvement. I mean, there's different ways you can do productivity improvement. You've been involved with lean and a different methodology like that. For us, we help specifically to the welding process. So we'll review the welding process. Sometimes it's a diameter change, of consumable change, a process change. Some of the companies we deal with, the welding fume is something that they want to address, or there's an opportunity to do better. So we've done a fair bit of work on reducing welding fume exposure for their workers. So these are the kind of projects that we're working on actively with customers right now.
I know two of the main products I've seen in terms of my connections with Lincoln in the last year in regards to fume extraction are consumable changes in consumables for the amount of fume produced at all, and then also fume extraction technologies such as fume extraction guns for GMAW and even GTAW and things like that. So
Yeah, we've been really active with welding fume reduction. Manitoba was one of the first provinces to adopt the ACGIH levels, which are much lower than the levels that you have in Saskatchewan or Alberta. But
Hmm.
other jurisdictions now are following that. So in order to meet those levels, it requires change. It's lower than the previous one, and I would say a lot of the workers that if they were at the old level or close or above the old level, now that we've changed exposure levels, they'll need to do something in order to pass.
Yeah, and it's amazing how the levels have dropped. You compare them to 25 years ago when I was welding. I'm like, how am I alive? How am I still alive? Like what was considered safe back then now is considered deadly, and even the last drop, which was from point 0.5 for manganese to point 0.02 now, I think is what it is. That's getting small, and it's a question I've even asked. I've said, well, if it's so bad, just take it out. But but you can't because it actually serves a very important purpose in the welding process.
Yeah. Manganese adds toughness. Manganese will tie up sulfur and low melting point elements. So we need some. We want some. Uh, what we don't want is breeding it. So you mentioned the fume guns. There's the whole thing about source capture or crack capture. And what we're working on is trying not to generate that manganese fume. So with either changing the consumable to reduce it or using a welding pulse output to reduce the amount of manganese that gets generated in the fume.
Yeah, and pulse would be huge in that because it would reduce the overall current amperage level, right? So lowering those amperage levels, whatever, a
We
thousand times a second. Yeah.
Yeah, with the pulse, we've done lab data, so there's standardized testing methodology to review, and then not all pulse are created equal, and we're not exactly sure how they work, but we've optimized some pulse to reduce welding.
Hmm. I know, like we have one of the new STTs in the shop. Well, they're not new anymore. They're now 4 or 5 years old. There's newer ones, but you got Rapid X, you got Rapid Arc, you got all you. I think there's 239 programs in that machine.
And we keep adding more. We try to get better waveform for all the applications.
Yeah, and I've only blown one of them up. So in Max's world, that's a pretty tough machine because I blow up machines pretty regularly.
Gouging will do that to a machine.
Yeah, I think you remember that call from me, don't you?
Yeah.
So that's interesting, especially in terms of shops that are looking at during this COVID time. You're looking at how do I reduce costs, and the first thing that companies will want to do is to reduce employees, right? That seems like say if someone just goes to a company and says, you know what, I need you to knock 20% off your bottom end. Well, I could easily just reduce my employees by 20% and it's done. But then you've crippled your company in terms of output. So companies like Lincoln and companies that work with the consumables and the materials and all this other ports, and even like you said, lean management, other methodologies, it's very important right now in how to streamline operations, right?
Yeah, and when you talk about operation, we talk about process. What we got to look at is the total cost of the process, right? So if we talk about workers, either getting less workers, uh, there's a trade-off there. You don't get the efficiencies, you don't have, or you cut costs on the wage you're going to pay, or you're not going to get the best people. So what you got to look at is, and sometimes you got to invest to save money, which pay more money to save money. It becomes more complicated to do the analysis. But that's where I think that we think the biggest return can be is to streamline your operation, get the best process you can, so that you can reduce hours of welding if you can.
Yeah, I know that, especially with some of the new flux core technologies, the wires are getting big, the deposition rates are getting huge, and Like, I mean, I remember laying 052 wire cladding on giant bearing blocks for hour after hour. You know, we're talking 12-hour shifts of cladding. And I look at the wire processes out now, man, that would have cut that job down in half. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean when we talk about the build up job, right? Going to a larger wire, and sometimes is the people don't know what's possible, what to be expected. Sometimes there's challenges in implementing the larger wires. Maybe so we're there to help with that.
Now, what about Subarc technology? Is there anything cool going on in Subarc world? I ran Subarcs for a few years as a young guy, and Subarcs were like all the rage for a little while, and they kind of died out. And I kind of have been wondering recently, is that still a thing? Is it still on people's radar?
You know, Subarc is alive and strong for those that know it, right? You kind of, it's interesting that some people, they have a job for Subarc, they've had it for a long time, they've been using the process, and they wouldn't think of using anything else. Then you'll have another company, they kind of get into doing some of the similar work, but they don't know about Subarc, they're using cord wires, this and that. And then it'll take a while to convince them in the same application to go to submerged R, get set up for it, and enjoy the benefit. So we had a big change in the Subarc technology about 10 years ago with the ACDC Subarc. So that was kind of a big revolution. We've had that was a game changer. We've had incremental benefits and changes since then. We're more comfortable with the technology. Like the more application we do, the more our database of welding procedure application grows. So we get better at it.
What about on the simulator front? Is Lincoln still actively working with simulators? I know that I think there's a new version that's just coming out now.
Oh yeah, we've had lots of changes. You know, with development in computers, gear. So we upgraded our previous headgear to the Oculus Rift. So I've tried the Oculus, and I don't know if you've tried it, but it's an amazing VR experience.
So I know I've talked to you at length about this because we have one of the older ones at the college, and I've asked, like, can I convert this to Oculus? Like, we'll even go buy the Oculus, but I don't think it's possible.
The driver, the software, the computer. So we've streamlined the product. So there was a big change about 2 years ago. Like now we put it in a smaller case. The idea with the generation that you have was that it looks like a welder. I use it with gloves, and we changed it so that now we use a touch screen, which is more to today's taste. Mm-hmm. So we've made the machine more compact, redesigned the stand. We've expanded the line, so now we have dual user units. So virtual welding technology is alive and well. We're still working with people to look at it. It's a big change for people to investigate and do the cost justification, but we're there to work with people if they're interested in looking at virtual welding.
That's and it's fun. Like it kind of what a game. There's a term for it when you turn something into a video game, and it kind of turns into that kind of a video game challenge when you play it. But you're still learning some of the exact practical skills that you get out of really lighting up a rod, minus the burning yourself, right?
Yeah. When people first try it, it looks simple. We do stuff in the flat, but if you really want to push this technology, like we talk about doing a weave vertical up with flux core, and people will really have to pause on the edge. We can measure their pause, so you can really practice a motion with these pieces of equipment.
Awesome. So we're coming up on the end here, Sebastian, of our half an hour. It flies by. What would you say to a young person coming out of high school, perhaps looking at engineering, in terms of the steel trades? Would you want to perhaps give some sage advice from yourself looking back?
Yeah, I would say get involved early. The more you know. I wish I would have known more about welding back when I was in college. That would have helped me in my projects. So I'd say join the Welding Association to have more information on it. And there's lots of resources online. Start getting involved. Start looking into it. Engineering is a good complement to welding. They go well hand in hand. And then if somebody said that they're in the welding trade and they're looking more into engineering, by all means, it doesn't mean that you have to get out of welding to be in engineering. You can still be in welding, and you can apply different set of skills to the metal trade.
Do you ever see yourself maybe doing more engineering work on the side, like as an engineer?
No. I the blueprint and all that. That's not me.
Well, I was gonna send you some work, but I guess I won't send it to you now, I guess.
But if you ever need help with your side business and you got a welding question, you know where to send them.
You bet. Well, thanks a lot, Sebastian. For people that have been listening, if you guys got a question about Lincoln Electric or Sebastian himself or the Winnipeg chapter for the CWB Association, his information will be released with the podcast along with his whatever information he wants. I don't know if you use Instagram much or your email or your phone number. CWB will get a hold of you to ask you what you like best. But get a hold of us. We'll put you in contact. We'll make the things happen. Any parting words there, Sebastian? You want to say hi to anybody?
No, but I'd like to invite everybody to join up for the CWB Association.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this podcast here with the Canadian Welding Bureau Association. Stay tuned for the next episode and take care. Thanks, Sebastian.
Thanks, Max.